Because of the injuries on defense, you have put some guys in maybe sooner than you'd like. Do you think this is accelerating their development? Like, ready or not?
It is, but I think a couple of them, we knew in Cam Robinson, we felt like would be a guy that we would have to accelerate the process anyway. Dre Walker was another one because of coming into the season, the situation at corner. Some of the other guys are having to grow up really fast and tough now to deal with it. You got growing pains, but long term it's gonna pay off. But in the short term, they're the next man up and they got to go.
Buchanan, another guy that you thought over the course of the season would kind of work his way into the rotation.
Athletically, for sure, but at the position that he plays, there's a lot of football that you have to learn, and for all of them, to be honest with you, you talk about Cam Robinson in there at the Mike backer position. He's got to set the front, make a lot of calls. That takes time, and just really proud of James Jackson and just the support that he's given to Cam and willingness to move over to Will and help Cam because Cam was more comfortable at the Mike position. But yeah, Buchanan athletically was a guy that we felt like rushing the passer should be able to do that. But however, when we got dropping coverage and fit the run and got run stunts, it's a big learning curve. But I tell you what, he's a kid that loves ball. He's very conscientious. He's going to work hard. So I'm excited to see his growth and development. As we persevere through some of the injuries at the bandit and DN position.
What do you remember about recruiting Dre Walker, and what's enabled him to play when there's some older transfer guys in there too?
Yeah, so Dre, first thing I remember is he came to camp. I guess it was the first camp that I had as a head coach, and we're out there and you see this big, long, lanky kid, and then you watch him put his foot in the ground and explode. And I was like, hey, this guy here, I'm surprised he doesn't have a ton of other opportunities. And but great family, great mom and dad. They raised him definitely the right way, and I believe we were one of the first big schools to believe in him, and he was loyal to us. We were loyal to him, and throughout the process, really quiet, wasn't high maintenance. Got a chance. He's one of the few guys I actually got a chance to go see play because we got. As a head coach, I'm always in on Friday nights, but you have an open week here and there, or you might have a Thursday or Friday game, and maybe I get two opportunities. But he's one I wanted to go see play, and watching him on the field as a receiver, as a DB, as a punt returner, you just knew the athleticism was there. So I think his length, his athleticism, give him a chance right away as he learns those positions. And it's snap-wise. You want to have a rotation. It's hard for a guy to play 75 snaps. Plus, if he's a special teams guy, you could have a guy playing, 99 snaps, 100 snaps a game throughout the course of a 12-game season. That's a lot of wear and tear on your body. So you want to have rotation, and he has the athleticism and the length. Right now as he's learning the position, gives him a chance to be out there.
And do you have an update on Cam?
Yeah, so Cam had his MRI last night. Don't know the details of it, but right now definitely wouldn't be able to play this week, and hopefully we're hoping for the best. I think it might be more pec than it is shoulder, so hopefully we get the MRI results and we get good news that it's not season ending. But right now we're still kind of waiting on those results.
Bryce Carter stepped up when Cam went down. Just talk about how much you've seen him grow in the last few months.
Bryce is a guy, when I first got here, I think, his athleticism, jumps out at you. But we had to challenge him to kind of, hey, man, get your motor going, start learning, what to do. And in fairness to him, because of necessity, we've had to play him a little bit inside. We'd had to play him a little bit outside. So he's had to toggle between two positions. But really proud of him. I think ability was never a question on Bryce. It was just the maturation process. And like some of the other young guys, it's going to be accelerated for him now. But I think he would be ahead of, Makai and the Jasons and the young, the true freshman guys. But excited for his opportunity. And, he's made plays for us, and he's got to make a lot more plays. And I think he's ready to accept the challenge.
Talking to Cam Robinson, he remembers the staff rolling deep on one of his basketball games before early signing day. I think he
Yeah.
said it was 8 coaches that ended
That's
up
right.
going there.
That's
What
right.
kind of stands out about his recruitment when you look back at all the chaos also leading up to early signing day?
Yeah, so Cam was a guy, when I first got here, just evaluating tape. I mean, he jumped out at you on tape, and you saw him doing so many things. He played receiver, he played linebacker, he was a kick returner, he was the punter. He did everything for his school, but it was small. It was small school ball, so to speak, right? And I felt like we had a diamond in the rough. And then when you actually have a chance to meet him, man, he's got a big, beautiful smile. He's very engaging. Then you meet his family. Outstanding family. Very, very strong upbringing there. His brother plays college baseball, so it's an athletic family. He wasn't a high maintenance guy. He was just if I could say this, is just a little small town country boy that likes hunting and fishing and really didn't care much about recruiting. And then there at the end, the secret kind of got out, and we were crossing our fingers. I think he OV'd South Carolina, OV'd Florida State, and man, we were holding on, hoping that we could get him. But I felt like him in particular could be like a program changer. Just with his athleticism would be a big upgrade athletically. But then being an in-state kid, having success here, big smile, serious about his education. So I felt like he could be the total package. And all the other guys are outstanding as well. But I just felt like, I wanted to build around him, and that's why you saw 8 coaches at one basketball game, because we wanted to make it a point of emphasis that, hey, if we're going to get into really recruiting the state, man, it starts with Cam Robinson.
Obviously, we saw Calandria again on Friday night. Is that because Musket is still unavailable, and where does that stand heading this week?
Right. So each week Musket is getting better, and as I said, I want to do what's best for Tony. My philosophy is that you don't lose your starting job because of injury. Each week, we go into it with Tony being the guy. Until we get to the game and we really assess what the situation is. I think, he's much closer. I anticipate that Tony will be ready to play this week, and that's how we'll roll.
And then with such a tough start to the season, how do you kind of make sure the guys in the locker room, aren't getting too down on themselves or just, for lack of better words, losing hope?
Right. So, I put it in perspective for him, just like I put it in perspective for the staff. You go back about a year ago and where we were as a program and everything that we were enduring, and just the hurdle of playing football again. And then for 2 quarters of that first game, amidst all that you had to do to get there, man, you're battling. And then the next week you come back and you're getting ready to play a home opener, and you're still dealing with all of the things from a year ago. A big ceremony before the game, a big ceremony the day before, and you're up by 11 points. In the fourth quarter, and you don't finish, right? And then you're at Maryland, and it's 21-14 with the ball on the 12-yard line with a chance to tie it up in the fourth quarter. And then you get here this past week, and it's a tie ball game with 36 seconds left in the game. So put it in perspective, everything that they've had to do to get to where they are should be encouraging and giving them hope that, hey, we're going in the right direction. Man, stay the course. And one of the things that I tell them is, research shows that most accidents happen within a mile of the destination, right? So we can't lose sight now. If anything, we got to put 2 hands on the wheel, and we got to keep pushing. And ultimately, you challenge them from a competitive standpoint. The competitor wants to compete no matter what the situation. And a big word for us has been competitive stamina. And competitive stamina is the ability to compete regardless of the circumstances. And so that's the way. So showing them the progress that is being made, right? Putting in context, what they have accomplished, despite maybe what the record says. I don't think that anybody in that locker room believes we're an 0-4 football team, but our actions, right, and the things that we did is a result of where we are. But we believe that we can continue to improve. We believe we can compete, and that's what it takes. And you're going to have situations that are always going to challenge you. The biggest thing is simplify your life. Don't listen to the outside voices. Right? Talk to yourself. Don't listen to yourself. So really just challenging, the young people to keep that inside-out mentality, and the results will come.
Going off that, do you feel like you have to do anything extra to make sure that they aren't listening to those outside voices?
I mean, you can't stop it. I can't control it. All I can control is the 3.5, 4 hours that I have them per day, and then I hope that during that time, the coaching staff and the environment within the program, can help them to have the discipline that when they walk out, because at the end of the day, the credit goes to the man in the arena, right? And everybody's going to be a critic, but what these guys have they would not be in the position that they are, if they didn't. Listen to the inside voice as opposed to the outside voice. So nothing I can do other than try to model that. I don't listen to what anybody says. I'm not on Twitter. I'm not on social media. Man, I'm trying to focus on what I can do better each day to be better able to serve the people that I'm around.
So speaking for the critics, I guess.
Well, that's not critics. You have a job to do. I get it. I understand.
A year ago, after the Duke loss, I think you had 4 or 5 15-yard penalties.
Yeah.
You came in here and you said you were irate, and you told the coaches there was going to be lineup changes. Guys weren't going to play if they had those kind of penalties. Things did improve after that. What has been your tact after what happened Friday? Are you similarly irate, or is this different circumstances?
So I think it's different circumstances. I think the only one, if you look at the 3, would be the one on Ty. And that was something that guys in the trenches, it was chippy all night, and the referees were coming over on both sides and saying, "Hey, cut it out," and rightfully so. There was an underlying, situation there that made it a little bit chippy. But Calandria, I don't know what to tell them, other than your helmet's partially coming off, you just made a big throw, you put it back on, but I think it's one of those deals where, it's coming off, he takes it off the rest of the way. It's an unbelievable play. He's excited in the moment. The ref sees what he sees, he throws the flag. I can't be mad at the official. He's got to do his job. But I don't know what I tell the kid, because, emotion, we all got emotion. In that moment. And then the one on James, we just got to be smarter right there. There's a guy that's being desperate, wanting to make a play. If you're going to jump, you got to already be in the line of scrimmage, right? You can't take a running start. And so those are different than the penalties that we had, at Duke. And so each one of them will be addressed a little bit differently, but still unacceptable. And what I always tell the guys is, man, don't put it in the hands of the ref to make a call. Right, live above reproach. And so the one that's most frustrating is the one between Ty, because to me that became more of a personal, situation there. And he's very remorseful and got caught up in the heat of the emotion. The heat of the game with emotions. That's part of football. But you gotta be able to stay within the lines, and you can't let somebody else force you to get out of character. But the other 2, those are different than the ones per se up at Duke.
You were talking about Cam being a potential program changer. Just what do you like about his game? What's kind of separates him from other freshmen that you've seen at that spot?
First of all, you look at his body, and you don't see many bodies that come in like that as a freshman. And here's a guy that was a 3-sport athlete that wasn't really in the weight room, and he already comes in at 220 pounds, and he looks like what a football player looks. And then you watch him take off and run. He's very explosive. He's got good football instincts. He's athletic. He can do things in pass coverage that you don't typically see out of that position. And then when he diagnoses the play, he arrives fast and he arrives violently. And then you see him in space be able to make some plays because of his athleticism and his length. So athletically, he's a big, fast linebacker. That can play the run, and he can give you some matchup opportunities in the pass game.
Looking ahead to Saturday, I think Louisville scored their first 7 times they had the ball against BC.
Yeah.
Had a lot of explosive plays. The way your offense seems to be improving week by week, do you think you might be able to take advantage of some things?
Well, that one got out of hand quickly, but when you go back and you watch the Florida State game, right, and then you watch Holy Cross, and that's not what we're expecting. My experience with Boston College, especially playing up at Boston College, man, they play you tough. they got a ton of experience on defense. Mostly seniors and graduates, and so I don't anticipate that it's going to be like that. Now, obviously, their structure is built to stop the run, which gives you some opportunities in the pass game. But you got to run the football effectively to be able to open up those throwing lanes in the pass game. So that, to me, is not indicative of who BC is. I think when you watch the other film and you're down to the wire with Florida State up there, and it wasn't like it was the end of the game comeback situation, man. It was tight from start to finish with Florida State. So that's what I'm anticipating. I'm anticipating these guys to be fired up, ready to play. So we got to have a good plan. They're going to have an 8-man front. They're going to get 2 extra hats near the box. So you have to make plays on the back end. So possibly some opportunities in zone coverage, but also you're going to have to beat man coverage. And so we got to make sure that we're prepared to play the bump and run that they play.
Big picture program building. Coaches love the idea of a quarterback coming in, maybe sitting a year or two, starting 2 or 3 years, and you get that progression, guy after guy. With the portal, with the way things are, is that realistic? Like, is that your goal, or is that a thing of the past?
Great question. It's almost day to day, to be honest with you, when you're dealing with it, because and rightfully so, the players have leverage now, and so it's not like it was before, where as a coach you kind of dictated and you came in and say, oh, this is what it's going to be, because they do have the ability to move around and survey the landscape and figure out what it is that they want to do. So I think you have the approach that you try to play them if they're ready to play. You try to protect the year of eligibility if you can, and then you're focusing on one season at a time as it relates to roster management. Big picture, you have your philosophy, but your roster can change. I think about just talking to NC State, and they had a young man, a really good young man, that just kind of surveyed the landscape and said that, hey, I'm gonna protect my year and go somewhere else to play. And I'm not faulting anybody for that, but it does make it challenging. So I think your philosophy and approach, you have it big picture, but you're operating day to day, just trying to manage your roster.
Your previous stop, you obviously saw the benefits of a quarterback who comes back, spends a couple years in the system, and obviously a lot of talent too. But what is the benefit of a quarterback who plays 2-3 years for a school, for a coach, in terms of the system, the development, the two-way communication, all that?
Right. I think it starts with your fundamentals. You have consistency in your fundamentals, because each system, each coach is going to have different fundamentals, a different way of teaching things, and then terminology is different, and then cohesion and chemistry with the guys around you, is different if you're constantly, in a different system. So I think what it does is it helps you from a fundamental standpoint. The continuity, allows you to go out and work, in rhythm with your guys, and then multiple years in the same system gives you the ability to really drill down to the details. And when you're able to drill down to the details, and then you can rep and have repetition and build muscle memory, then what happens is the game really slows down, as opposed to if you're having multiple sets of fundamentals. Now you have different sets of receivers, you have all kinds of different things. You're constantly kind of in that mode of transition where it's hard for you to get really settled in with the system. So there is a benefit to it. So we'll kind of see how it is going forward, not just for Virginia, but just in college football in general. Just because the landscape is changing.
Since you mentioned the state kid, here,
Yeah.
there were some coaches I talked to going into the weekend who thought it'd be Bloody Monday for some programs. Have you had kids saying we're 4 games in from your office, coach, I'm done?
Right. No, I have not. But again, the way I look at it is now it can happen in any week, right? Because obviously the first 4 games, but you're going to have young guys that you may have to play at different spots in the season that may come in and say that. And again, I fully respect, their right to do that. And again, I'm not saying I disagree with it, but it does, present potential challenges when you're trying to manage, especially when your roster, depending upon what your roster is. So if your roster is already, taking a hit because you got injuries and you're playing guys, and then now, you're trying to win. You're trying to field a team that gives you the best chance to win. And the way that I've always approached it, and again, I'm kind of trying to figure out how it's going to be going forward is obviously you got to protect the team first, right? And then you protect the individual, okay? And then you always try to, when you can, protect the young man in his year from a red shirt standpoint, right? But if you have depth at a position, it makes it a little bit easier for you to say, okay, we're going to protect it. But if you're the next man up, it's very difficult to say, hey, it's hard for me to protect that year. I need you to play because you're the next best opportunity for us to. And really, every player on the squad is one snap away, So you want to be sensitive to it, and I don't fault kids for thinking about it and processing it. But at the same time, too, there is a commitment to the team, right? And the team, as I've always been coached and believe, team rights supersede individual rights. And then in certain situations, you will have the luxury and ability to protect the young man if he's getting close to that threshold of playing 4 games.
In each of the 4 games, there's been at least one special teams play that you would like to have back. How have you gone about trying to correct those mistakes? Are you putting more time in practice on special teams than you plan to going into the year?
So definitely spending as much time as we can allot to special teams. You've seen some personnel changes. We played some different personnel at positions, just trying to figure out if certain individuals give us a better opportunity to be able to be successful. It's a lot of coaching of the details. Again, I think special teams at the college level is a little bit different. Right, a little bit more detailed, a lot more involved. So that's the approach, is to try and find the right personnel with the right skill set for all the jobs that we're asking them to do, and then spending adequate time, not just schematically but fundamentally. Right, so I think it's a different skills, I guess different movements, so to speak, different skill set when you're talking about special teams, and you get a lot of reps, offense, defense, but special teams is the one area where you're taking the whole team. So you might be asking a kid that's used to going backwards, per se, as a defensive guy, and now he's got to go forwards. It's a different set in blocking space. So you're asking guys to do something potentially that they haven't had a lot of reps at, so you got to build the muscle memory there as well.
Do you feel like you're getting closer to getting your running game going to where you want? I think you went over 100 rushing yards for the first time.
Yeah, so I felt like early on in the game we were rushing the ball effectively, and then I thought kind of right there middle of the game, third quarter, it kind of disappeared a little bit. Now we did have some backed up situations, which makes it a little bit more defensive friendly when they can load the box, knowing that you're probably going to be a little bit more conservative with your play calls. But then we found some with the quarterback late in the game. So really challenged the backs. I thought the backs could have ran through some arm tackles, ran through the smoke a little bit better in this past game. So I'm excited to see them respond this week. Structurally, we knew going versus NC State. I mean, they're very aggressive. They're going to have 7. If you got 6, they're going to have 7. If you have 7, they're going to have 8, right? They're built to stop the run, and they basically tell you got to beat us throwing the football. So last week I knew structurally we were going to have some challenges. Thought we ran it effectively early on, but hopefully we can really get it going. I think that'll really complement what we're trying to do in the pass game and really open up some more of the move the pockets and play action type passing game.
Back to the quarterbacks, are you open to playing 2 quarterbacks? Are you not someone who will do that?
Man, I'm trying to figure out how to win a ball game and what gives us the best chance and best opportunity. I think, in fairness to Tony, right? He's played 45 snaps, and he's been out. So I think you got to give him because he earned the job. He won the job coming out of camp, and he needs to be evaluated in the game as well. And so right now, he's our starting quarterback until otherwise. But I think we've got a good sample size of what Calandria can do. And then both of them got to be ready. And I think that they have a really good relationship. Man, I see them hanging out together. They push each other in practice. There's healthy competition. But for me, it's whatever gives us the best chance. But I won't know that until we get a good sample size on Tony in the game.
And just kind of seeing the status and some of the other guys that are injured, like Lex Long after he got his
He's down.
MRI. So,
So Lex Long won't be available this week. I'd say Ahern is probable. I'd say Smiley is questionable this week. Akiri's, not going to be able to go this week. Clary obviously is still out. That'll be long term, probably, another 6 weeks on him after his surgery. I'm trying to think of those are the main guys. It was awesome to see Sue. Sue was able to come to the game and be around the guys. He was in the locker room. I believe it was yesterday around the guys. So good update on him. But yeah, we got some guys down, but it's next man up. Got to be ready to go.
Building the anticipation there. Malik Washington obviously has been on an absolute tear. What has he kind of brought to the table?
Yeah, so very dynamic. You look at him. He's a big, strong, physical kid. He's running well after the catch. He's catching the ball with confidence and making plays once he catches the ball. But if you spend any time around him, he's a very serious young man. He's a very organized, detailed young man. He came in obviously, pretty polished with 4 years of being at Northwestern. So what he brings is just his skill set, his leadership, his attention to detail. He's got a passion and a desire to improve. I think he has some goals set for himself, and he's working every single day. And what I like about him, as I tell everybody on the team, is your commitment has to be greater than the goal. And so his commitment is at a high level, and that's why he's been able to be productive.
Anybody else? Jerry?
Just briefly, I guess, on BC's offense, I know they switched quarterbacks to the transfer guy. Just what do you think about their offense?
Whew, scary. It's scary because of the quarterback. BC's going to run the football. They're going to challenge you. They're going to run you. They're going to run the gap scheme at you, the power scheme, and see if you can stop it. And then they can spread you out. So they can go from 12 personnel, heavy run sets. The next thing you know, they're in empty. And then the quarterback he's elusive, he's dynamic, and he makes plays. And what he can do is he can really, really hurt you with the off schedule play. So when he pulls it down and scrambles, he can extend plays and then he can find open receivers. Or if you're not gap sound, he's going to expose you because he's fast, he's quick. He's a confident runner, so he's not looking to go down. He's looking to get those extra yards. So they challenge you because they're going to force you to be gap sound in the run game. They're going to force you to defend multiple different run schemes, and then they're going to spread you out. And then once they get their run game going, they can set up all the play actions. And then, they got that extra element in the quarterback run because they can design quarterback runs that give them an extra hat. And then this quarterback is not looking for 4. He's trying to go 40 when he pulls the ball down. Mm-hmm.